Okay, so we've got a new one today. Defensive driver. Take a defensive course and drive the team to victory. Or defense does win you titles, don't get me wrong. Add an entire flight of playstyles, including intercept playstyle, along with defensive and physicality boost. Now, this one is interesting because you get the intercept, anticipate, bruiser, jockey, and aerial, and then you get intercept playstyle plus. So this is basically refining a player that you already have. So let's say I'm trying to find one that doesn't really have the defensive playstyles. Let's say, for example, do we have a few players here? Patterson. So you're basically getting everything apart from block, right? If I'm not mistaken, let me double check this. Bruiser, intercept, anticipate, jockey. So apart from block. This is actually a really good one. Like, it's so cheap as well. I would say keep this one though. 20 days. This could be used during some team of the season objective. I wouldn't hastily do this. But I think if you've got a player like, for example, Archie Gray, and you want to improve their defending, I think this is where it's actually worth using. Is the requirement, so it's just an actual blanket requirement on overall rating. I did have players like Diego Dalot. Now I can technically put it on Diego Dalot. He's already got an intercept playstyle, so we're basically wasting it. So, if your player doesn't have block, it's not really going to help you. But if you've got maybe like, you know what this would have been good on? Kunde. But I think, look, it's a pretty decent one. You're getting the defensive upgrade, which is what you're really paying for. Unfortunately, there's no pace upgrade, which I'm not very happy with. I expect maybe at least a 1 or 2 or 3 pace, but +6 defending and +6 physicality. So you ideally want to be finding a card here that has the pace existingly, or maybe a CDM that has the pace existingly, or even left back. I think left backs and right backs, they're notorious for not having the best of defensive. But let's say, for example, do I have anyone here that I can really show? But let's say that you have a left back like this, you could also tank the player up and give it an intercept playstyle plus. I think it's actually a very decent for the price. It's very easy to do as well. Actually, not that easy, but 6 matches, you can do this fairly easy, but you should have made it 5 or even 4 even. But in terms of what I would say is, look, I want to say wait, there's no need to do it. Well, if we look at some of the trending ones, this is basically a waste. Well, not really. You're not really getting, you're really just playing for the playstyle here, so I probably wouldn't recommend that. Saliba, this is where this gets interesting, but again, you're only playing for like a hand, like, night. Let's say we ignore, we admit the playstyle plus. What, +1 defending? Are you really gonna notice it? So this is not worth using it. Someone like Kante, okay, the physicality, I understand. I don't think this Cancelo though. Yeah, this Cancelo is where it will be worth using. You don't really lose a playstyle because the original ones. Company, he's too slow. At this stage of the game, 86 sprint speed. I think he's too slow. Lavia could be an interesting option. I just do worry about the sprint speed. Like, I'll be honest, this one you want to keep. I think, look, what you'd want to do is you want to find someone who's already got 90 sprint speed. That's what I'd say. Someone that's already got 90 sprint, like Van de Ven. Like Van de Ven could improve his defending. He's a perfect example of where this could be used. Virgil van Dijk is too slow. Don't waste that card now at this stage of the game. This Bremer card, well, he doesn't really get the play style. The only way that I really say that this is actually useful, and like this is me being completely honest here, I'm just gonna have a quick look. Hang on. Just gonna look at, is anyone that becomes very, very effective? Let's put defensive awareness. Let's just put 88 interceptions. We'll put 88. Let's just do like some decent filters, but not too crazy. So, like, for example, this Hato card, it's actually not a bad idea of him, actually, because, you can improve his defending and then you get the intercept playstyle. That would be a good example. Is there any left backs and right backs here? So it's going to do left backs and right backs. So some of these left backs and right backs, like, Lawrence, for example, her defending isn't great on her gold card. Then I think it's worth doing. But apart from that, I'm going to be honest, it's not worth it. I don't think it's worth doing now. It's not worth rushing to do this if that's what you're asking me. I mean, it's 25k. You're not going to spend FP points to do this one. Look, I think there's only two. Okay, if you're asking me personally speaking, there's two situations where I will do this. Okay, number one is if you have a centre back that, let's say Lewis Dunk, let's say possibly I wanted to get the jockey playstyle and the intercept or the slide, right? So that would be an example of where I would do him, or you don't get a slide, sorry. But that would be a perfect example of where I would do him. But I'm not going to use Lewis Dunk because although he's got good sprint speed, at this stage of the game, excuse me, I think he's probably a bit too slow. But I've got Archie Gray. That's where I might consider using. So whoever natively has good sprint speed, and to be honest, that Archie Gray, I think Archie Gray is better than the one that you can purchase. So certain like this Patterson card as well, like his pace is probably a bit too slow now. His 90 sprint speed, you can get away with it. But that is where I'll use it. So only on a fullback that's probably got pace, or a CDM that's got pace and you need to improve the defending. For a centre back, let's say you have existing, let's say Diego Dalot, he already has a lot of the playstats, but let's say I wanted jockey and anticipate. This would be a good thing to use on him because although I miss out on block, I get all the defensive playstyles. So if you've already evolved a centre back that's got very high sprint speed and you need to get the defensive playstyles, then I would say sure, throw it on. Apart from that, I don't think it's worth it. You're capping someone to 91 defender, you're getting a +6. I mean, I'm gonna have a quick look at if there's anyone else I can even do here. I don't think there is. I think my Van der Ven is omitted because his pace is too high. This is a Mansky for future Evo, but I'm a quick look. Let's see my Van der Ven. I think he's just probably a bit too high here, and 90 rated overall because I use the jockey place evolution. Yeah, but that's what I'd say with this. I would say don't do it. Let's just wait. You know, guys, just wait. There's no need to rush to do this one. There could be another evolution that chains together, which I think is another thing to look out for. I don't think there's anyone here that I'm like, okay, I'm over the moon with. I understand someone who, like, you know, Cancelo or someone that's got the pace existing and needs the physical upgrades, then I can understand. But even then, I'm still going to wait. So although there's quite a few cards, these cards probably a bit too slow, even with the Hawk. Kunde might be a decent card to improve his defending stats, but even then, I don't think it's okay. I mean, maybe that might be the actual use case, actually, because Kunde has almost all the defending main ones. Yes, okay, he hasn't got anticipate. So this is where it would probably make sense. 88 sprint speed should be fine at this stage of the game, and get intercept. So it would be similar to my one. I got block and jockey playstyle, but I wouldn't hastily do this. So don't rush. Anyway, thanks for watching.